at Ponce Equestrian Center, I'm going to share with you our steps to saddling horses so you can get ready to ride. We will groom our horses and make sure that everything is clean and ready to go. That includes the body brush, the hoof picking, cleaning out their mane and tail, and she is prepared. Then my next step is going to be the saddle pad. When picking a saddle pad, it is important to consider how your horse is built, what we're going to be doing with it, and the size of our saddle. So here you can see we have several different types of pads of different materials and different constructions. And we are going to be picking this wool pad with the ESP liner in it. When I approach my saddle pad with my horse, I want to make sure that they're paying attention and that they know that it's coming. So again, I will touch them and let them know, like, hey, I'm going to be putting something on you. I'll grab it from the front and the back in the middle here so I can open it up and lay it on their back. I want to make sure that I've got the pad lined up to where the girth is going to hit on the saddle. So another way that you can tell that this one has a contour pad, a wither relief here, so that way it sits there in the pocket. Now that I have my pad in place, I'm going to grab my saddle. So to grab my saddle, I want to grab it from underneath the gullet, and then I'm going to reach and grab it from the back so I can hold it next to my body. When I approach my horse, I'm going to stop with my shoulder perpendicular with their shoulder. Some people like to lay the stirrup over the saddle horn or over the middle here. Okay, so once I've got my saddle prepped, I'm going to swing it and gently set it on their back. A big mistake that I see is people will plop that saddle down on the back, and that can be uncomfortable for the horse. Once I have my saddle in place, I'll pop my pad up under the gullet here, so that way there's a little bit more relief over this wither. Once I have my saddle in place, I'm going to go to the off side and drop my cinches. When I lay my cinches down, I want to make sure they don't slap my horse, that they're good and straight. At times there can be a twist. I see this happen a lot, that the back cinch will twist over the keeper there. So we want to make sure they lay straight and no twists. I like to have my stirrup up out of the way. I'm going to grab this front latigo. I'm going to reach across and I'm going to grab my cinch. I take the tail of the latigo and I run it through. And I'll make sure there's no twist here. I'm going to take the tail, come back through the top, run it through. And then this is the tricky part for some. And then tuck it down through the cinch here. So I want to get it snug enough that it's touching against her belly to kind of help keep the saddle in place. But I don't need to get it riding tight right now. So this is my front cinch. This is my back cinch. The back cinch you're going to find on most roping saddles, trail saddles. It's to help keep the saddle level on the back, especially for roping. Whenever we are pulling cattle, we're going to put a lot of pressure here on this front horn. So if you'll watch, so when I have a cow and they're pulling, notice how the back of the saddle will lift. So then when I use the back cinch, now it's going to distribute the weight from where it was all here in the front. Now you're not going to see that saddle come up. And so that's going to help keep the horse more comfortable when they're managing that weight. Once I have my front cinch and my back cinch, I like to do my breast collar last. Again, I'm going to come to the off side. I'm going to look for any twist, make sure this is nice and level. Come around. There's different placements for these breast collars. This one, for her, is going to come through this keeper. There are some that will attach to the D-ring. Depends on your horse's size and the size of your breast collar. And then there is a snap that goes between her legs. So once my horse is saddled, I go ride, I have a great time. When I come back to the barn, I have to unsaddle. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is they try to do it the same way that they put the saddle on. So they'll do the front cinch and then the back cinch and then the breast collar. The bad part about that is that these are secondary supports. This is the primary. This is the thing that really holds the saddle in place. These other things just help keep it in place. So when we undo this one first, and if the horse were to move, the saddle could get out of alignment. So we always want to go backwards from what we did. So I did 1, 2, 3. So now I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. So now I'm going to undo my breast collar. And lay it back over the saddle. Then I'm going to do my back cinch. And do my front cinch. Okay. Now, one of my favorite ways is to tie up my latigo, is I will I'll pull it out to me. I reach down so I can tuck it back under. And I want to bring it through to where it almost zigzags or loops back through, and I can pull it loose like this. So if you can't pull it loose like that, you're doing something wrong. So again, we're going to hold out. We're going to tuck it. I say pinch the latigo through the D-ring there. And here it's kind of a rolling. See how this back tail is sliding up, but this one isn't moving? So I slide them to be even. And this is where I say the bunny's tail jumps over the log, comes up through the D-ring, and down in the burrow. So now I'm going to lay my cinches. I want the sweaty side or the horse side facing up so they'll dry and not be touching my saddle. This saddle doesn't have a keeper to hang from. I come back to this left side. Another mistake that I see people make is they'll go ahead and they'll just pull the saddle straight at them and be pulling on the side of the horse. Just watch how she leans, how I'm moving her body, because I'm pulling the saddle. So that means I'm putting strain on these muscles on this right side here. But when I pop this saddle up and I bring it off their back, now I didn't pull on her when I pulled the saddle off. My next step is I remove the pad. And the last step that I like to do is rub them where the saddle was. It increases circulation. It is a reward for hard work. And again, it allows me to check for any soreness or anything that could have happened during the ride.